Hello, welcome to the Naval Base Guam virtual town hall. You're the second caller, so just be patient. We're going to start in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, perfect. All right, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. This is the virtual town hall. You've dialed the right number. We're going to begin in a couple minutes.
And it might be, I can bring my PC and maybe it'll be louder through the speakers on the PC than it will on my phone. I don't know. What do you think?
Good evening, sir. You're a hot mic, and welcome to the virtual town hall. You've dialed the right number. All right. Everybody, welcome. My name is Captain Hans Schally, and I'm here with the staff of Naval Base Guam, and we are going to conduct tonight's town hall. I just want to welcome everybody who's calling in on the telephone, everybody who is watching virtually via Facebook, and I want to thank all those folks who participated already by writing in answers on our Facebook page. So the purpose of the town hall is an opportunity for me to engage with my customers, you. That's important to me. I want you to know what I'm thinking, and I also want you to know what's going on in Naval Base Guam. And I want to answer your questions. So I'm going to cover some ground rules that will help us systematically answer questions and also provide information to everybody who's out there. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to read some administrative instructions here. When dialing 00, please wait for the tone. No need to announce yourself. Simply pause and listen for a clear connection. Please place your headset or cell phone on mute. Unmute, please, before speaking. Apply courtesy and phone etiquette as you engage. Your call is anonymous, so unless you want to be announced, there is no need to state your name before speaking. But you're more than welcome to if you choose to. Sequence. I'm going to make some opening remarks, and then I'll go ahead and conduct this admin, and then we'll open the phone lines for the first question. After that, we'll discuss similar topics and discuss topics that were posted via Facebook. And as folks call in with questions, we'll go ahead and answer those. So if you hear a moment of dead space, take the opportunity, ask that question. If at any time there's too much interference, we'll briefly stop and ensure all phones except the caller asking the questions are on mute so everybody can enable a clear, concise communication. If you're dialing from a base phone, please do not put on hold. You'll hear Anchors Away in the Marine Corps hymn. Now, although it'll be incredibly patriotic, and I'll probably stand up for the Marine Corps hymn, it's probably not going to help our town hall. So please, do not put base phones on hold. This virtual town hall is one in a series of town halls, but your feedback is vital. So please post messages on Facebook, and you can also give us feedback, if you choose, on the phone. And if you miss that opportunity, you can also provide ICE comments through the CNIC-sponsored ICE program. All right, so without further ado, I think it's time for the first question. So if I have a volunteer out there on the telephone, in the right direction. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. I actually live in Harborview, and I have a question. I know that they've been doing all these renovations on the ground of the playground.
Yes, ma'am.
But since they've done that, they have not come out to clean them. So the playgrounds now are like, spider infested, wasp, hornet's nests, and they're really filthy. So is there any plan for them to come out and like pressure wash them or anything like that?
Sounds like a great idea to me. And I tell you what, we'll get folks out there. But that's one of those things. If you see things like that around the community, you have a community housing representative, and I urge you to reach out. You guys are our best eyes on target. You guys are out there every day, and as parents, you see things, and as occupants and folks residing in housing, you see things that we might not necessarily see. So I have you down as Harborview, needing cleaning at the playgrounds, but don't be afraid. If you have any question whose yours is, it should be in your housing pamphlet that was provided to you when you moved in. When your representative and his contact point.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
Does that answer your question? All right, we're going to get out to Harborview.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Hey, she broke the ice, so now all you have to do is follow up that great question. So let's hear question number 2. All right, so if no one's brave, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to fill that air with some good information.
Talk or anything?
Ma'am, can you hear me? All right, so I'm going to fill some air with some good information. Just upcoming events here on the installation. So the Joint Region Marianas Commander and will be replaced by Rear Admiral Chatfield. Works on the installation will have a new Echelon 3 commander. All right, next question. All right, if you guys don't ask questions, I'm just going to tell you things. 13 to 24 February, Naval Base Guam is going to be hosting a force protection exercise for an evaluation. So you might see some exercises going on the installation. We'll post those on Facebook, we'll get them out through the PAO channels, and we'll inform commands. So if you see something going on during that time, call or address Facebook, and hopefully that will answer your question. There'll be simulated exercises to include gate penetrations and also harbor movements that our security forces will be responding to. We'll go ahead and use the big voice and Facebook to let people know that it's an exercise. How about a question from the telephone?
Can you just explain a little bit about your relationship with MWR?
You bet. Navy Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. MWR is a program that's designed to enhance our sailors and our families' lives here in Guam. MWR has many different hats. Food and beverage services to child care to school-age youth programs. They also manage gym facilities and recreation facilities. The MWR Star logo is administered and run by our employees from the MWR department. And they do work directly for me. So if you have a question for them, and I happen to have 2 of their staff sitting right here with me, so I bet we can answer your question.
So I just think there are a lot of questions about that via Facebook.
There are, you bet, and we're certainly going to get to them. And if you have a specific one, I'd love to answer it right now. All right, I'm going to go ahead. My first topic, which is housing, and that might bring up some questions, and these are going to be answered off of Facebook inputs. Your questions coming in off Facebook. Playground structures. We have 17 playground structures on base that have canopies or require canopies. I understand that canopies, provide a temperate environment for our kids to play. I understand that the playgrounds get hot. I also understand that the typhoons really wreak havoc with the canopies. We can expect, due to UV and typhoon weathering, a canopy to last about 18 months. So just so you know, it costs about $170,000 to outfit those 17 playgrounds. And $170,000 is a lot of money. So what I'm looking for, and also perhaps a consolidation of playgrounds. So right now we have installed several playground canopies. Some of them that came from the contractor did not fit. So we went ahead and returned those get replacements. It takes a while to get these here to Guam. So I apologize if you don't have one in your neighborhood. We are systematically working through neighborhoods to raise them. Now, if we anticipate a typhoon, and each time we take them down, it costs about $5,000 to take those down. So, as you can see, canopies are critical, but they're also a complicated problem to manage. So, if you don't see a canopy in your neighborhood, one of those reasons might be why. Any questions on canopies?
Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you? Welcome aboard.
Hi. You were just speaking about the canopies, and my question to you was, I know that like some of the pavilions have more of those permanent structures. Is that not an option for the playgrounds as well? Maybe a permanent structure vice the the canopy?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I tell you what, MWR, who runs our program for playgrounds in conjunction with housing, they're moving towards more smaller playgrounds that don't require the big canopies, but have shelter incorporated right into the playground apparatus. So the next generation of playgrounds, I think you'll find more permanent structures that are more weather resistant, but perhaps smaller scale. So it's a great question, and we're going in that direction.
Thank you.
But that will be that's the next generation, the next iteration of playgrounds for children. So as those programs come online, you'll start seeing those. And but I don't. So we're making do with the canopy.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
The next iteration of playgrounds for children.
Excuse me, your phone. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback of my awesome voice that I don't particularly like to hear your feedback. Next question. All right, how about while on the playground topic, let's talk about playground mats. And that first question was about mats and wasps and that type of stuff. So 11 of 13 sites for playground matting have been completed as of December. All right, so hopefully, and now that we know that they need to be cleaned, we can get through there and clean those 11 sites, but also finish the last 3 here in these next few weeks. So that's our update for playground matting company covering.
All right, how about the playground topic?
Next question. All right, I'm going to talk about, since we're on the housing topic, I'm going to talk about loose dogs. Hey, people, please help me out and keep your dogs under control. Dogs are not allowed to free run through housing, and they're also not allowed to free walk while you're walking your dog. The only place you can have your dog off lead or off leash is in your home or at the approved dog park over by Tipaleo Housing and the big screen. All right, and I know there's some concerns on the dog park, and we'll get to that as well. If you see somebody who is disregarding the leash law, first what I'd ask is, this is a community. We belong in a community. We live in a community. Ask your neighbor. Ask your shipmate, hey, is it possible that you could please leash your dog? I always think a cordial invitation to let folks know that they need to comply with rules and regulations is the best policy. Now, if they don't respond, you can report it to your housing manager, for your area housing manager. And if it's after hours, you can report it to security, especially if the dog is a nuisance. If the dog's a nuisance, we'll immediately respond. All right? But I'd ask you, try to reach out to your neighbor. You probably know who that dog belongs to. And in a non-confrontational way, please address the situation. I bet you guys can rectify it. All right. With regards to poor lighting at the dog park, in fiscal year 18, so next year, we're going to be doing a lighting upgrade that will include the dog park. So we'll get those flickering lights off. Now, I will say, for those of you who are energy conscious, those are solar-powered energy lights. First generation, they work. It's a concept, and we're probably going to go in that direction, but we know it's not consistent lighting. But we are trying to do things that limit energy consumption. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Next question.
From the phone line.
Next question from the phone line. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, sir. I had a question about kids in housing.
You bet.
What is the age like where they can just run free without any parental supervision?
Man,
Does Navy security want to hear about it?
and I'm going to have to look to some of my housing and security experts here because I don't know that answer. That one?
Yes. My name is Installation Housing Director.
Hi.
Hi. There is, we have an instruction on unattended children. And so if you're going to have your child out, like in the playground area, the common areas and so forth, it's up until the age of 10.
That they need supervision?
That they don't. Any 10 and below, they need supervision, yes.
Okay, so, just a suggestion is maybe to have security patrol house it a little bit more, especially Lockwood, because these children are on the roads, no helmets, on their scooters, and having a teenage driver, that scares me. So,
And it scares me too, and I don't have a teenage driver, but I know what you mean, and I think, once again, I think that is a community effort. That's a wonderful thing about Naval Base Guam is it is a tight-knit community, and police that's great. If you have to get your housing coordinator involved, but I hesitate to do that, but I will have them jump in if we certainly can. And my security folks, they do a great job. They're busy all over the installation. They have 17 posts to man. They have 1,900 acres to patrol. I would say we're probably not in the business, unless it's immediate safety, of policing children. But if it is immediate safety, you bet my security folks will jump right in.
okay, I mean, if the rule is 10 and under, then to me that's like an immediate safety issue, but absolutely, I get it. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great night.
You too, and great question. I appreciate the participation. Next phone question. All right, while we're waiting. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Hey, I have a question. We live up at Bayview, and the speaker's right behind our house.
Giant voice.
Yo, it's just very loud.
Yeah.
And I actually run an in-home daycare for infants. And so my question is there any way in like the immediate housing area over here, it is so hurts your ears. Is there any way that at least in like the very specific housing areas that we can turn that down? Just at some point.
So first of all, ma'am, let me say thank you for being an in-home child care provider. That is awesome. I wish I had more of you. And because you are a great asset to Naval Base Guam, and I appreciate what you do and the care that you give our community's children. So thank you. Second question, I have 17 giant voice systems throughout the various installations. They're designed to cover approximately 1,000 acres. I got to get coverage to the most distant outpoint of the command. I am sympathetic that you live probably right at the base, and but I need to be able to get word out. So I'm not going to make any promises. We'll look at the decibel levels to make sure they're at the appropriate level for full contact of the installation, but that's probably where they're going to have to remain.
Okay, thanks. It's just, when the siren goes off for the stuff, I mean, it's like it hurts your ears.
Yeah.
It's a very painful experience.
Yes, ma'am. And unfortunately, I have one more question for Giant Voice that I'll get to later where somebody says they can't hear it. And so,
Okay.
so,
Of course.
so it's a balancing act. And now I will say we're getting an upgraded system in 2 years. It's scheduled for replacement, so we might be able to peek and tweak a little bit more in that upgraded system.
Okay. I actually have another question.
Yes, ma'am. Second question.
Different topic. I posted the like the mini libraries.
Yes.
Put those in our house, like if that was allowed, because a lot. My neighborhood has a lot of dogs. There's a lot of people walking around. I would have one that was like a kids one for all the kids that walk around, and you could do like a book sharing program, but I don't know if that's even allowed.
Your question was awesome, and I haven't bounced this off MWR, but I'd like to explore it a little bit because I think it is an interesting community participation program. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Now, I will say we have an awesome librarian named Stacy at the base library.
Oh yeah, we go to the reading times and stuff.
Yeah, no. So what I'm gonna ask you to do, and I have some thoughts on this, and my MWR staff is looking at me like I'm a crazy person, and that's okay. I have these awesome bus structures that are enclosed, and
Okay.
I'm thinking that maybe we can perhaps run a pilot program where we put a couple in, and we'll have to see what we'll. And this will be small, but I am interested in it because it is an interesting idea. So please work with Stacy on that.
Okay, great. So I'll just talk to the librarian about it.
All right. She doesn't know you're coming, but she will now.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Sorry, MWR.
I'm in for that.
All right. Good
I
deal.
have one outside.
All right. Next question on the telephone.
Hi, sir. I got a question.
Oh, you're kind of cutting out. Can you repeat the question?
I didn't ask the question yet, sir. Sorry. My question is that housing had sent out the pet policy reminders not too long ago,
Yes, ma'am.
and it added on that they're now doing breed restrictions.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that apply to people that were already in housing before that came out?
Breed restriction policy and our updated pet. Where it comes from? It comes from directly from the CNIC policy. So we've echoed to ISIC in their policy. So that's where it comes.
For their breed restriction policy.
So that's where it comes from.
That's
Okay.
one of the most stupid rules ever.
Right. Okay.
I
I
hear that.
understand it comes from somewhere else. I'm just wondering, are people that already have pets that might now be breed restricted going to be grandfathered because they were already living in housing before housing changed the policy?
So, ma'am, I'm a pet owner and a pet lover, and I am not looking to move a nuisance animal that has done violations of the pet policy. Then we will have to look for options. But I am not going to come looking for pets that may currently reside that I think fall into the restricted pet policy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I totally understand. I totally understand. It's a nuisance one. I was just worried about people that have been in housing.
Yes,
been
ma'am.
in housing for a while, and now all of a sudden there's a restriction.
You bet. You bet. Ma'am, I like to think, we try to apply common sense. As folks PCS, pets will perhaps leave, and then maybe folks will unfortunately be forced to make some off-base housing issues at their next installation. Or folks coming to this installation will be able to make some support their pets.
Right. Yeah, makes total sense. And on the we're down in Harborview, and I understand. I've had friends that live up in Bayview. I know how annoying it is for them. For us down here, we hardly ever understand what the big voice is saying because we have 3 of them that echo each other and talk over each other.
Okay, and that's a great point, and I know bleed over and overlap and Doppler effect affect big voice. Now what I'm going to do is we also have a program called Ad Hoc. What we do is ask the service member to put out the same message on Ad Hoc, which that we put out on Big Voice. So it's a redundant system. So you either hear it or you get it texted to you. So that might help clear up some of that confusion and some of that interference.
Okay, thank you.
So ask your OneNet user or also your ask your OneNet user, and they should be able to fix you up with Ad Hoc.
Okay, thank you.
Questions from the phone? All right, so housing guests, 30 days. So please make the request. If you're going to have a housing guest, we can give up to 30 days. Now, I understand that folks might need a longer requirement, but every 30 days it will go to the housing review panel, up for 90 days in a 365-day period. This 365-day period starts at the initial stay. All right, so please have the military sponsor use the housing review panel to make the request. I know it's a cumbersome process, but we need to manage who is in DoD housing, and we need to know who is on installation. The process does work, though. Next question from the phone. All right, if you have any questions that perhaps you want an exception to policy in housing, the housing review panel is your vehicle for addressing that. So if you have a question or you have a request that is non-standard, please use your chain of command or your sponsor's chain of command and use the Naval Base Guam Housing Review Panel. We meet monthly, all right? And if there's an extremis case that can't wait a month, we've activated immediate housing review panels. All right, and so the housing review panel isn't just. We use quarterly rotating members from the Naval 5, Det Marianas, Emory S. Land, Frank Cable. We like to use a variety of tenant commands so we have diversity in the voting members. Next question on the phone, go.
Hello.
Hello, how are you, ma'am?
Hi, I'm back.
Oh, okay, welcome back.
We usually have a few people sitting here talking about stuff, but another request out of Bayview. We actually have been doing a lot with like the lawn policy.
Okay.
And how it gets long and then you get a notice.
Yep.
And what's really incredibly frustrating is that we have a lot of empty houses up
Yeah.
here. And their lawns will be like a field before they get mowed, but ours will be like, it'll rain for 3 days, we won't have time to cut it, and then we'll finally cut it, and we'll get a notice.
You bet.
Like, it's frustrating. Like,
it is super frustrating.
I'm confused as to why like the houses that don't have anybody in them, they're allowed to have their lawns long, but we can't.
Right. And I'm going to give you an answer, and you're probably not going to like the answer, and that's okay, but I want to tell you why. So I appreciate your efforts to maintain your lawn and your abode in an appropriate manner, and I applaud that. Thank you. Please keep doing it. Now, the mowing houses that aren't occupied, I am currently funded at a level common operating level and common operation level. And for mowing, it's level 4, all right, which means a very low funding source for that. And that's because we have chosen as an enterprise to invest our money in more immediate needs other than mowing. So we mow it to maintain it at the most minimum standard, but it's frustrating for the person living right next door. I fully understand that. But we mow it on the schedule that is in a compliance with coal level 4.
Okay, so ours is also in compliance with that as well? Like if we get in trouble?
No, ma'am. You are held to the standard of occupancy. You are there 24 hours a day, and housing occupants are required to keep their lawns in good order. I am saying, as an enterprise, the installation has to not cut common areas to include non-occupied houses at a different rate.
No, that's fine. And then the park covering, did you already cover that? Did we miss that?
Yeah, you missed it, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to post these minutes afterwards. It's probably going to take us about 48 hours to consolidate them and type them all up. But we're going to post that on Facebook, and you're welcome to go back and look under the MWR, the housing section.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, ma'am. Thank you. Next question from the phone. All right, I'm going to hit on civilians and housing. Another question off Facebook. All right, we do have civilians in housing. They're key and essential people for the installation for tenant commands at some times. Perhaps they're here on a transportation agreement from the states, and occupancy of base housing was part of their transportation agreement. So they're authorized patrons of base housing. We look to balance that number so we can provide housing as required to our military families. Obviously, that is a priority. Civilians that are for their key and essential roles. I know that can be frustrating at times, but that is how we manage our housing program. And just so you know, they're integrated throughout housing. We don't have them sequestered in a civilian housing area. We are integrated as a community. The Navy community includes our sailors families, our civilian sailors, and their families as well. So hopefully as a community we can get along.
I have a question about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Why aren't the civilian contractors in room size appropriate houses? You've got some with one or no children, and they're in 3 to 4 bedroom houses. Why aren't they in 2 or 3 bedroom houses deeming appropriate?
Sure, great question. Well, first of all, there's no contractors in service employees, and they all are federal employees that work for the Department of the Navy, not through contract. All right, and they are given housing in grade-specific housing, and sometimes that means that they, because of seniority of perhaps a GS-15 federal service, and that's whether or not they have dependent children or not. Hopefully that answers your question, ma'am.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great question, though. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to put a plug in for housing. Housing requirements market analysis. CNIC, Navy Installations Command, is currently on island doing a market analysis for off-base housing. A survey for all folks living off base. All right, that survey is incredibly critical to determine requirements, to determine level of services available out in the town, and to see what the market is out in town. So if you're given a paper survey or perhaps an electronic survey, I ask you, fill that out. It matters. It matters to things like how many housing units we get here to keep on base, how many housing opportunities there will be out in town, and it also comes down to things like OHA. So it's critical. I ask you to take the effort and do that analysis. Our partners at CNIC will thank you. All right, MWR, shifting gears. Any questions from the phone before we go into MWR?
Yes, sir. Is there any possibility of getting a
Great question. At this point, we have, I'm just going off the top of my head, I think we have 4 ATMs available over the, and I'm talking outside the fence line as well, on naval base property. Right now, there's no plans for a drive-through ATM on base. Really, as our banking institutions are set up, the brick and mortar parts of our banking institutions, they're not configured for a drive-through. Now, we can explore the opportunity for a kiosk, but that's something that we have not explored. So I will just say we'll look into it.
Thank you.
Now, and I know they're handy. All right, food outlets for MWR. And I'm just going to talk specifically MWR food outlets right now, and then we'll move on to NEX. We have food outlets like Bama's, Molly's, C Street up at the hospital. We also have the bowling alley complex. I know we could use more food installation food outlets on base. They are run through the MWR food and beverage program, and they're subsidized by some of the profits from NEX. And they're also profited from your patronage. All right. There were some questions about Molly McGee's. I know Molly McGee's sometimes runs out of things. We work with CNIC for those program modules and models. All right. So that is a CNIC model, and the vendor comes from CONUS. So sometimes CONUS deliveries do not keep up with demand, and we run out of things. Now, my MWR team is working feverishly with the CNIC partners to see if we can do some degree of local food sourcing. So that would be working with food vendors local to the island that we could provide fresh and more responsive food demand. There are some of the shortcomings at Molly's. Bama's, I hope you've seen an uptick in the quality of Bama's. The staff there continues to offer more barbecue type menu items. They're also incorporating some local fare and some specials for breakfast and lunch. I will tell you, I'm not satisfied with where we are for on-base food and beverage options. I want more, and we're working hard to get more. So, that's where we are on the MWR side. Now, if you think we're, I would love to tell you we're going to get a Chipotle or a Panera, as some people alluded to in Facebook. It's just not. It's not going to happen. It's not profitable and economic for a corporation to come here and do some things like that. The scale just doesn't work. For Starbucks, we looked at Starbucks coming on base, and that would be through NEX. For them to do that, there would have to be 5 local outlets, and unfortunately, not supportable on the island. They didn't want to come here just for Naval Base Guam, or perhaps another outlet up at Anderson. All right, so what we've done, and I'm kind of shifting gears here a little bit to NEX, we've reached out and contracted a local coffee vendor. When a contract was signed, we have a local coffee vendor who will be moving into the off-base but on installation building that is right next to the National Museum. If you see it when you drive by, it's immediately to your right. It's a square little building, and that will be a local vendor coffee shop. I'm not going to tell you which one it is right now, but you can. There's only a few that are local here on island. So we hope to have that with you. We're still working through contract items, and when I have a plan of action and milestones, I'll share that with you. And when I have a proposed opening, I'll share that with you. C Street. C Street has some open hours from 6 a.m. till 1600. That's where you go for coffee. We have Starbucks coffee there. We have some grab-and-go breakfast type food, and that is available. It's up at the hospital, and it's also at the former at the MWR Center by Molly McGee's. And I apologize if through the holidays some manning limitations might have caused us to truncate some hours, but we're committed to those 0600 to 1600 hours. I need my cup of coffee, and I know some of you guys do too.
Sir,
Yes, please, go ahead.
in regards to that housing survey for folks that live out in town,
You bet.
is that going to be TAC card enabled, or is it going to be sent to my husband who is currently deployed email? Like, how am I going to be receiving that?
Okay, so there's going to be a couple different ways. There's going to be, and I'm looking over towards my CNIC experts here. It's not going to have to be CAT card enabled, correct?
Oh, sir. What it is, sir, we work with your IT department. As of today, you can access it by your government computer. Internet Explorer don't work, so you have to use Mozilla Firefox, or on your home computer the same, or your BlackBerry or your phone.
Okay, does it have to be CAT card enabled at home?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
All right, so there you go. So we'll program, or we'll publish out what the information and how to get to the website, and then you don't have to be CAT card enabled to do it. Great question.
Okay, and then also, can I ask another question?
You bet. Two for the price of one.
Yay! So several times I have purchased dog food at the home center,
Okay.
and several times I've also had bugs in that dog food, and I've returned it without problem. I've been able to get more dog food, but I asked the last time it happened was just last week, and I asked the manager that was on duty, hey, what are these bugs? Because I've never seen them before. And she said, I don't know. We basically call the sub vets, they come out and do whatever they do,
Yep.
and they've never reported to us. So I feel as a consumer and as a person whose dogs is family to me because we spend a lot of money to get them here, we as consumers should know what potentially our dogs could be ingesting.
You bet.
And for this to be a continuous issue, I know that they're looking into it, but I want to know what bugs I'm bringing into my home.
Sure. So, as a dog lover, I shop and get my dog food at the same outdoor center you do, and I agree with you. You should be bug-free when it's actually brought into the commissary or NEX. Dry storage is done locally here, so it's shipped in through shipping lanes and Connex boxes, and there is a Army veterinary unit that does dry good inspections for both the commissary and also dry goods storage. And I will tell you, if you see it or if you see it at the store, or if you see any indication of perhaps infestation, please let us know. And just like you said, bring it right back. I'm not a bug expert. I don't know what those. We have a robust insect program, but this is, as you know, there's a lot of insects here in Guam, and especially for dry. It's a constant battle. Help us be vigilant for that, and hold us responsible for it too.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for
All
your
right,
feedback.
thanks. All right, next question on the phone. All right, swimming lessons. All right, MWR swimming lessons. We don't offer swimming lessons right now. I will tell you, it is remarkably difficult to get water safety instructors here on the island. You would think that living on an island, we'd have a lot of Red Cross, WSI certified people. We do not, unfortunately. We're doing a water safety instructor course for our MWR staff, and we will instructors through the course of that month. So by April, I hope to have a MWR swim instructor program up and running. I know there's a great facility at the and use it more, and I want to use it for children's safety and also their recreation. So swimming is an important piece of our MWR program that we hope to kick off in April. And I know there's some people that have been on a waiting list. We're going to do our best to call to see who is still active on that waiting list, and then we'll work our way through that, and then also open it up. Yeah.
In the past, that was brought up as only CDC participants can take that swim lesson program because the MWR was going to certify the CDC instructors. Is that the same thought moving forward, or will people whose children don't use the CDC or the school-age care program still be able to take swim lessons, or is it going to be only offered to children enrolled in those programs?
All right. You're asking that question. I say bring your child. He or she's gonna have a fun time at the swim lessons. I know there's probably going to be a backlog, and it's probably going to be tough to sign up for those initial classes. Be patient with us. Every child on base is authorized to come participate. You bet. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you in April. All right. Blue Jacket.
I have another question in regards to the pool.
You bet.
Is there a way that we could extend? Lap swim is pretty early on in the day, and I wouldn't have enough time to, throw the kids at the CDC and get over there and get in some yards. I love to use the pool. It's just not feasible with the way the
Swim goes to 11 o'clock. To my MWR team, so I'm going to ask for a lifeline here and go to my MWR team.
Yeah, this is Sean Alley, MWR. Lap swim hours are from, and then they do cleaning of the pool every day. And the reason they have to do this is because in most facilities they close the pool one day a week to do a general cleaning. We don't do that. We try to do it every day. So we close. It's closed to the lap swim from 7 until 11, and then it's open again.
Right, and the problem is, even if you have your kids in like part day preschool or the pre-K program or anything like it in the pool, when it opens back up at 11, you still don't have time to go swim. And I would love to go from 5 to 7 a.m. It's just not realistic to get the kids at the CDC. So it's just hard for other folks that maybe don't have a spouse here that they can leave their kids with or have another place to provide childcare to get some yards in.
The CDC does have extended hours now and opens up at
That they do. I guess it would be great to not have to get everyone up at 4:30 in the morning to go swim.
Sure, I'm with you, ma'am. No problem. I fully understand that. But a good plug. I appreciate whoever chimed in out there. Good plug for extended CDC hours, 05 to 1900. So I'll put my plug in for CDC. So, ma'am, I will look into it, and we will look into it. But as of right now, that 0500 to 700 for lap swim, and that is geared for our service members, but that's open to everybody. But I totally understand where you're coming from. Now, I would offer you this, and it's another MWR facility. It's a little different. I swim down at Gab Gab every other morning at 6 a.m. I love swimming in the open ocean pool. I offer you to come down. I'll swim with you. It's an option. It's an option. And if you like open ocean swimming, try it once. You'll never go back to the pool. I swear. It's awesome.
All right.
All right, I hear you, so I know you're going to be there. All right, next question.
I have a question about the pool too. Are we considering doing a actual swim team for the kids? Because Anderson has that, but we don't.
Probably not at this point, ma'am. So I tell you what, let me take some baby steps here and get a swim lesson program and see where we go with that. See how many instructors I get, see what duration I get, and then maybe down the line I can readdress it. But right now, I'm just wanting to get some kids to learn how to swim.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Are you opening the swim instruction to anyone or only to existing employees that already have full-time jobs with MWR?
Existing.
Ma'am, if you're an authorized MWR patron, I think we can.
She's wanting to be an instructor.
Oh, you wanted to be an instructor? Is that what I'm understanding?
Not me, but I'm just wondering for people.
I'm going to refer to our MWR team, and you know, we post for positions on USAjobs.gov. We're only manned for a certain number of positions, but if so, contact the gym leadership. Have an opening. I don't know. Next question. All right, so Blue Jacket Field. People are asking if we can turn on lights earlier and also keep them up later. So we do keep them on for set activities, whether it's MWR sponsored child athletics, whether it's Captain's Cup, but individually after sunset, we do not usually turn on the lights. I will tell you, lights cost $140 an hour to leave those lights on. If you're gonna do a community event, like I said, I'm a common sense guy. If you're gonna do a community event where you want to do some sort of community flag, frisbee football or something like that, and you have a dozen participants or 15 participants, you know, I would consider that. Now, am I going to turn on the lights so one person can run track at night? No, I'm not. It might seem harsh, but that's the austere fiscal environment that we live in. All right, so work to plan those community events and work through the MWR team. Does that answer the question? And that hopefully answers some questions on Blue Jackets Field. So the gym's open from 5 a.m. till 2200. I know there were some people because of work cycles. That's already open longer than we are required to open. All right, so I like those hours. I'm staffed appropriately for those hours, and I think those hours are what we're going to work with. In those hours, we have 17 classes offered through the gym, various classes from Zumba to spinning to yoga. So please sign up for those classes. Check out the MWR calendar. See what's available. All right, 17 classes a week. They go from 17. Childcare inside the gym. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I get the question about the MWR soccer that's So the question is, in the past, a lot of our kids have played on the Tsunami soccer team. I see on the website that they are going to be part of the GFA.
You bet.
But the question is, are they going to have a U14 team, which all the U14 teams have to be competitive to play in GFA?
We are not going to have a U14 team. And we set up our installation with CNIC policy for both the non-competitive and competitive portions. Yeah, and I tell you what, I have an expert here who's going to talk youth soccer, and she's a lot smarter than me. So ask Chrissy. That's a great question. I'm going to put it over to Chrissy.
Hi, thank you for that question. As the captain was saying, currently we are enrolling. However, our enrollment for the U14 age group, it looks like we're not going to have enough children. But if you have a group that you want to get in, we are ready to do the competitive league. We just need to form the team to do it. And we are a part of GFA. And your registration will also cover all of the players' cards. Registration though does end next Wednesday morning, which is the 18th of January.
Chrissy, please tell them where you can register.
You can register at our school age care building, which is located at 1982B Haputa Road, right between the Auto Hobby and the movie theater. From 0900 until 1800 every day, Monday through Friday.
Sorry, I just wanted to clear. You said right now there's not enough for a U14 team?
Currently, as enrollment, it is open. It hasn't closed yet, but right now we need a few more players to sign up to get enough to field a team.
Sir, if you can get us some kids, we'll get them on a team and we'll get them out to GFA.
I appreciate it.
No problem. And I tell you what, 50 children involved in the youth soccer
Group is the hardest to get.
And I just heard from my soccer expert, who is much smarter on this topic than I am, that age group is a tough age group. So if you can recruit some ringers that we can compete with in the GFA, that's great, sir. All right. Next.
On that,
Say that one more time, sir. You were broken and unreadable.
can I make one recommendation on that?
You bet.
Part of the problem this year was that the middle school didn't field a team either, so the kids didn't have anywhere to play. So some of the kids wanted to play with us, and then they wound up not having a place.
Sure.
Is there a way to talk to the school and see what they're going to do to make sure that we got? I think their soccer season's already over, but.
Okay. I tell you what, sir, great question. And I'm going to move you from Chrissy. I'm going to move you over to the Odea School Superintendent, Mr. Jim Journey.
Hi, thanks for the question. And the soccer season very definitely is over for our kids so far this year. Want to play. If we're not able to have an interested in it, we're not able to field a team either.
Hopefully you could hear that, sir. He's at the other end just because of the distance. He said they had trouble fielding the. So anything we can do to drum up competitive business is great. All right, somebody new dialed in. Do you have a question?
Hello?
Hello, how are you, ma'am? Welcome aboard.
Hi, I'm good. It's more kind of a suggestion, if that's okay.
You bet. Suggestions are welcomed.
So, at the times when the main gate is closed, and they have traffic coming through the back gate, which
Yes,
just
ma'am.
doesn't seem compatible for the amount of traffic, especially on the weekends, is there a way that we can also open the commercial gate to kind of ease up the lines that back up way down to Route 1? It's like...
Sure, great question. And I tell you, gates are near and dear to my heart because of the force protection value that they have. Gates do their job. They sometimes it's an inconvenience, and I'm with you. I've waited in line at the gate before, and I know it can be frustrating. I will say, we use the back gate on the weekends because we are doing maintenance or construction roads to the front gate. So we choose the weekend to do that contracted work because if you can believe it, there is less traffic flow on the weekends than there is during the weekdays. During the weekdays, I affect operation when I don't allow folks living off base that can't get on. So I know it could be an inconvenience to the folks that live on base during the weekends, but we're going to have to use the back gate in those rare instances. Great question,
the commercial gate is not an option at all?
I am not manned to open the commercial gate on the weekends. I would love to open the commercial gate because on the weekends I actually use my roving patrol officers to inspect commercial vehicles. Weekend gate operations.
People at the back gate, like two couldn't slide over to the commercial gate and man that. I'm just asking.
We do our best, and we folks as we can, as quickly as we can. The installation is safe, and we meet the appropriate force protection measures. Great question, though.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Did I cover drop-in care? All right, so one more time on the gym. Somebody asked about whether childcare was available at the gym. Drop-in childcare is available at the CDC. The CDC is a quarter mile from the gym, so please take advantage of that. Take advantage of that offering and drop your child off. They'll have some great interactive care and interaction with other children at drop-off childcare, and you can get a great workout in.
Okay, so CDC isn't always having openings for drop-in care, though. When you go there, or even call like the day before, they say they're completely booked. What do you do then?
Ma'am, I would say get a babysitter. I would say, work with a neighbor perhaps. I would also direct you to our Child Development Center expert, Chrissy, and she might have a better answer for you that can help you out.
Hi, that is actually a great question. Because what we're finding is drop-in need afternoon. So if you are scheduling drop-in care for a workout, what's available in the afternoon, we do in the afternoon. So if you're flexible on when you want to go, that's a great option. We also, starting this February, will be offering 2 part-day programs. One for our pre-toddlers, which is our 13-month-olds up to 25 months, and then our toddlers, who are our 25 months up to 36 months. And it's going to be a Monday through Friday option, 8 to 12 every day, guaranteed spot, and we'll be enrolling for that starting actually on the 23rd of January. So if that sounds like something you want to invest in, it's going to be a flat rate of $80 for each week, and it's a continual enrollment, so you can't just enroll for 1 week. Enrolled until you fill out a with that, and I hope I answered your question.
Ma'am, hopefully that answered your question, ma'am.
Yeah, I had a question in regards to Dodea schools. My question is, if you have children that live off base and they are doing an after-school activity and they need to get a ride home, is it possible, or even in the future, to offer after-school bus rides for them?
No, ma'am, not for after school. Normal post-school busing is available, but no after-activity busing is available. I'm sorry, but that's just not in the funding source.
Okay.
Yeah, great program.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Hey, so I just wanted to cover down on one. We do take into account, and we consider the welfare of our families as well. There was a comment perhaps that we just concentrate on the sailor and the active duty member. MWR is a family program, and hopefully you see it as such, and if there's a recommendation to improve that, let us know. But it is definitely for the entire family. We recruit sailors, we retain families, so help us help you get the experience you want from MWR. All right, on a community note, we did convert our school-aged our community center into our school-age care, into our teen center. And I know that has some folks concerned that we left them without a community center option. I will tell you, the teen center has been wildly successful, and it's a great place for our teen children to meet, to mingle, and to socialize. I know the community center was a loss. The teen center was worth it. So right now we don't have any plans for a dedicated community center, but if I have availability in an existing structure that comes up and I can do it, I'll work with MWR to see if we can explore that option. I know it's a good place for meetings, for community groups to gather. Right now, I just don't have the facility to do it. All right.
Sir, I have another question building off of the community center.
You bet.
I understand the teen center as well, the successful, and the old one was condemned, so we had to move them somewhere else. It left everyone in a bit of a pinch and put everyone at the chapel. And now the chapel and now they're canceling reservations, and I mean, you have Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and FRGs and a whole bunch of groups that they need somewhere to meet. We want somewhere to meet. But we have nowhere to go. There's every now and then they mention that there may or may not be room at Fleet and Family Service. That doesn't really exist. If you call over there, it's not going to happen, especially if you're bringing kids. Top of the Mar is way too expensive. Molly's is also not a feasible option. We're struggling. We're trying to be happy and we're trying to love Guam, but everyone is floundering.
All right. I tell you what, I don't have an answer for Fleet and Family Service. Or I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for the community center. Let's see. And I'll tell you what. The next quality of life meeting that your ombudsman or your perhaps the command triad goes to, I will let them know if I have any options at all for a community center. MWR, you have any thoughts on that?
No, we're actually short on space for that right now. We're looking into some options also. I mean, there's some spaces that we're throwing around, and we'll discuss them with the CEO and get back to hopefully get an answer on that one soon.
Okay. Or homework for me that I owe to you, and that will be a different discussion on the community center.
We all really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right.
I have a question. A question about the community center.
Sure, you bet.
I understand that the teen center became the new teen center, but what's happening with the old teen center now that the building is no longer condemned? As far as space options, I see that as an empty space now because you're utilizing the community center for the teens. So is the teen center building empty now?
So I am going to ask a lifeline to my MWR and my Public Works officer. So first I'm going to go to MWR.
Hi, Chrissy Gomez, CYP Director. I just wanted to chime in. Part of the reason was the building was condemned, which is when we were in the teen center, exhaust fumes were vented in because of the ventilation system. That, I believe, has not been fixed yet. So I don't think the building currently is able to have occupants on that half of the building. I might call on my lifeline.
Yes, Adam Parents, Public Works Officer. We have limited funds to approach stuff, and so right now I think the first thing we did was to fund the repair of the roofs so they wouldn't leak and cause additional problems, but we still haven't got to their structural problems as well. Especially when we have to, every time we do a repair, we have to follow new codes. And right now, the most expensive thing we have is seismic codes we have to follow. And so it's a very hefty bill with a program for it, and we just have not got that far yet.
Probably some answers that are disappointing, and I understand that. If we have an option for a community center, it is on my list of things to do that can improve the installation. So I know it's an important place for FRGs, for community groups, for Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. So I'm on the lookout for options.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. All right.
Hello?
Hello, how are you, ma'am?
You know, I'm doing all right. I was just listening. Is the Clipper Landing a spot that could be utilized, perhaps, as a space for FRGs and Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts?
Yeah, I would be happy to utilize Clipper Landing. Now, Clipper Landing is obviously outside as far as, you know, above the marina, and it's not enclosed. So I don't know if it would be the ultimate place, but it is available if somebody wants to use that. 100% available if you want to have a meeting there. I say go for it, work with MWR, but it's probably not our final solution to our community center program. But thanks
But it's a temporary fix for right now. That's what I'm asking.
It is definitely available.
So we just call MWR and we can reserve it for an FRG meeting and our Boy Scouts, our Girl Scouts.
Well, and that's something we'll explore, because right now the way we use Clipper Landing is it's actually a rental site. Like, people rent it for parties, retirements, and that kind of stuff. So right now it's exclusively a rental area.
So then the option to use it for a meeting isn't possible.
So I tell you what, ma'am, I'm going to look at see if what authorities I have for command-sponsored and community-sponsored events to see if I can waive that fee if that's in my purview. Now, mind you, I'm not waiving fees for retirements and personal type meetings. That is not on the table. But I'm going to investigate with my judge advocate and my MWR team if I'm in authorities to do that. And if that's something I can do, I would pull the trigger on that.
Well, all right. And how about that little spot off of Bama's?
The little back room is available. Well,
So there's always a fee involved.
great question, though. All right, I'm going to move on from community center, hopefully. All right. All right, child talked about that quite a bit. And are there any remaining questions or any topics that haven't been covered on Child Development Center? I just wanted to let you know that it is available 14 hours a day, but the maximum for child drop-off is 12 hours a day. So the maximum extent you can drop your child off is 12 hours, okay? So you can't use that. That 14-hour period of the median of the day. Right now, I will extend hours over the weekend for Child Development Center. I don't have the manning to do that. Now we are looking into some extended hours for date night availability twice a month. So that's a CDC program that Chrissy, would you like to speak to?
I would love to. Thank you, sir. Our community, we are isolated, not a lot of close family with us, so we have our give. Seen some of the marketing, like the captain said, we are going to extended hours, so we're going from a 12-hour operating day, and this does affect me and my manpower for the programs. However, we are going to continue our Give Parents a Break for the community, because we do know it is a need and appreciated, because we all need a night out or a break once in a while. So we offer the first and third Fridays, depending on when a holiday falls within a month. And the new Give Parents a Break hours are going to be 1700 until 2200. So those of you that have used our Give Parents a Break in the past, you'll note that we closed our facility and then reopened for the Give Parents a Break program. We're not going to be doing that any longer. So it's going to be a steady flow. However, we do have that 12-hour restriction. So what we would ask is, if your child is in full-time care with us, you do have to come check them out, have some dinner together, and then you're welcome to bring them back and participate and Give Parents a Break as well. And so that's actually going to start this Friday, or next Friday, the 20th is our next Friday Give Parents a Break. So our operating hours for that will be set. So you do have to call. Saturday Give Parents a Break hours. It's the second Saturday of every month, and it is going to shift from 9 a.m. until 1500 for that second Saturday Give Parents a Break.
All right, thanks, Chrissy. Really appreciate the update and the opportunity to give parents a break. Please take advantage of that, folks, and reservations. All right, moving on to security. Late breaking news is currently Deers is down So there might be a inability to get ID cards for the next couple days. We just found out about that. It's nationwide. So if you have an ID card that's expiring in the next day or two before the system comes online, we will still let you in the gate. But you have to have an ID that is expired within the last day or two. I am not looking to let anybody in who has a long-term expired ID. Speed bumps and traffic calming devices. Speed in housing is 15 miles an hour. It is posted. There are multiple signs throughout housing. We are a community. Please respect that speed limit in housing. I certainly do not want to be informed that there was a pedestrian car accident. That is something that is one of my, keeps me up at night here on the installation. I know there's a lot of children that are out and about. If they are of the appropriate age, they must be attended. And if they are at the appropriate age to be out, which is 10, please make sure they are road-wise. But please do your part to be a conscientious and courteous driver and neighbor. The speed humps that are in housing. There are some aggressive speed humps in housing. They're there for pedestrian safety. They're there to calm traffic. They are put in place by traffic management engineers, and they are put in place strategically to hopefully curtail speeding behavior. All right. I know the black ones are awful. Good word. I like that word. Awful. They are traffic speed appropriate. If you're at 15 miles an hour, you'll slow to 1 or 2, and then you'll go over that device. It's for all of our safety. Speed enforcement in housing, though. I wish this was a little bit more interactive. I would ask, how many speeding tickets a day does the Naval Security Force give out? And you guys would answer 45 tickets a day. 45 speeding tickets a day I give on the installation. All right. We are out there enforcing excessive speed. Please call us. All right. Use that security number. If an area, especially in housing, call us. We'll do a couple different things. We'll patrol more aggressively. We'll also set up speed notification devices, those little trailers that you see, and we'll make sure that we curtail that speed in your neighborhood. Let us know, though.
Well, generally the speed traps are at the bottom of the hill. I rarely see police security in housing itself enforcing speed.
Security officer, you want to address that one?
Lieutenant Guthrie, Base Security Officer. Which housing are you talking about, ma'am?
The second hump down when you're before the base of the USDA.
Okay, so
There was one today, a speed trap there. I was coming down the back road from the exchange and commissary, and I see them always sitting there. Early, I think this time around, and I've all twice, and that was during one of the fun runs in the evening. There was actually security for that. I rarely see security driving through housing itself.
So currently, ma'am, manning-wise, I have one patrol on main base proper. So that's to cover the whole main base. So usually in the mornings, we go out and hit the hot spots for traffic, and then they move throughout the day. Depending on hot checks and what other patrols we get called for, false alarms, fire alarms, everything else, they move through. If it gets really bad, then we'll call in for overtime and get Romeo or extra units in on the road. But of course, with funding constraints, I can only afford the Romeo units a few times a month. But we move them about. I can look at get them through housing. I know we moved up through housing this week. I think we had 5 tickets one day in housing alone and 15 the next due to the MEC.
And ma'am, if I could piggyback on that, that was because of a call that we got from housing. Actually, it was I think it was a Facebook post, And that day we sent reinforcements to housing to patrol speed. So let us know.
Okay, and also, can I backtrack real quick
You bet.
to previous questions?
Sure.
One for the gym in reference to childcare. 10 years ago, when we were here before, the old gym, there was an old racquetball room that they turned into half childcare area, not really childcare. It was a padded area with a rock wall, and there was ellipticals, I think 2 or 3 elliptical machines, a treadmill, there was some weights and some balls. And spouses could go in there, put their kid in the little chained area for them to play, and then the moms could go on the elliptical and work out. That was a beautiful and very awesome benefit, but when y'all tore down that gym and put up the new gym, you took away that benefit.
So I think we can all agree that the new gym is a much better facility than the old gym. I think a lot changes in 10 years, and we can look at some MWR, and I'd like to.
Hi, this is Sean Alley again from MWR. So we do have a room in there that with equipment, and it's designated as a family room, if you will, and it does allow parents the option to go in there and work out and have children in there.
Okay, my children are older now. When 10 years ago, when I was here before, that was utilized by me, but I don't know if that's advertised. Do other families know that that room exists? If they're asking for childcare, that was just my question.
We'll do a better job of advertising, but I know there's quite a few people that use it right now, but we'll definitely try and get the word out on it more.
And then as far as for the community center, I am the president of our FRG and was turned away by the chapel because they're overflowing. I went to Navy Gateway again when I was here 10 years ago. Navy Gateway Inn up on Nimitz Hill has a conference room on the 2nd floor. I went to the appropriate people, and they now want to charge $200 to utilize that room, where before we could use it. $200 obviously is not in the budget for any FRG just to hold their meeting. I have never seen anyone up in that conference room. I'm not there all the time, but I would like to know the numbers of times it's being used versus it sitting empty, that people, FRGs, meetings, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts could utilize that room.
I will handle that one. I am Chrissy Gomez, CYP Director. However, our MWR Director is off island. He is watching the feed today, and he has told us that MWR will support FRGs as long as you bring to the MWR admin office an FRG letter from your command supporting your FRG, and we can provide you an MWR space, whether it's Clippers Landing or Molly McGee's stage area or possibly the Nimitz Hill conference room. But we do have to look at our areas and see what we can utilize. So that could take a week or two, and that way we can have a calendar and be able to keep it organized so that we know when the facility.
And I also posted the page. I went over to Anderson and took those pictures of the spouse house. Can we not have?
Ma'am, this is the CO again. By policy, I'm not authorized to have a spouse house. Speak for their own policy, but I think we offered some great avenues for potential FRG meetings, and looks like through the modern marvels of technology and and our MWR director chiming in from Washington, D.C. He maybe solved some problems for us. So I'd like you to work with the MWR team and those FRGs since you are the president.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, hey, I had two questions, actually.
Yes.
The first question is, we talked about food earlier, but I think we skipped the most important thing. When is the Wendy's supposed to be?
That's a great question. I tell you what, I told you I was going to split up NEX and MWR, and I haven't gotten to NEX yet. Can I finish security real quick?
Yeah.
All right. I'm not going to forget you, though. All right. So, Old Wives Parking. Question and comment about Old Wives Parking. The PW says no parking for Old Wives Beach, and it's going to point you in an arrow over to the basketball courts. All right, so the basketball court has about 30 parking spaces. Great recommendation. I'm going to put no parking there, and with an arrow over to available parking. Whoever put that recommendation in, it was a great recommendation, and the Public Works officer now has a homework assignment that he didn't know about until just now.
Hi, sir. Just real quick on the security issue.
Yes.
Is there any way that you could stress to the commands, have the single sailors who live down here in Harborview and the ones up in the barracks, when they're coming down Breakwater Place, the stop signs actually mean stop. They don't mean roll through. They don't mean slow down. They don't actually mean stop.
Yes, ma'am. I tell you what, my safety officer is going to put that out at our next Traffic Safety Council, which is attended by all the commands. And I will also, my CMC, Senior Chief Jones, will put that out through the CMC telegraph system, okay? We're going to get that word out.
Okay, because I know I've lived here 3 years, and we've got a three-way stop at the end of our court, and hardly anyone ever stops on Breakwater Place.
Okay, great. If you, like I said, like I talked about speeding, if you see habitual, which it sounds like you do, please contact security, and we'll put some deterrence there.
Well, we've got the speed bumps that they just bump right over those.
Well, I was talking some big flashing lights, burly master at arms type deterrence.
Oh yeah, if they want to come and sit in our driveways, they're more than welcome.
All right. Well, maybe we can pick some peak hours where we can catch some of those folks.
Yeah, we'll sit out there. We'll put the sunshade up, give them some water. They're right there in the driveway.
You just made the security officer's day, ma'am.
All right, sir.
All right. Hey, real quick, motorcycles on Guam. You still need a Guam motorcycle license to drive legally on the island of Guam. And you also need that Guam motorcycle license to operate that motorcycle on the installation. You also need to take the motorcycle safety course. If you are delinquent in the motorcycle safety course, you will be identified on the DBID system and not be allowed to ride a motorcycle into the gate. You'll still be allowed to drive your car, but you will turn you around. Trusted traveler. I know a lot of people have commented that Anderson Air Force Base, as of the 9th of January, suspended Trusted Traveler. I don't know how long they've suspended Trusted Traveler. I will tell you, as of right now, I have no intentions of suspending Trusted Traveler. It is a JRM. Policy right now, and I think we are managing Trusted Traveler responsible and appropriate way, and still providing good force protection. But I will say, Trusted Traveler, if you are a Trusted Traveler sponsor and you are sponsoring someone, they are your responsibility. Do not leave them. Do not leave them in the car while you run an errand. Do not leave them unattended. We will give a notice of violation and a trespass citation to that person, and then we will also cite you for a Trusted Traveler violation if you leave that person alone.
Say that again?
Yeah, what? Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I just have a question or not a question, I just have a comment for Cap Shawley.
Go for it. turn. You might want to turn your computer down because I think you're lagging on YouTube.
Yeah, probably so. Okay, let me kill that thing here.
No problem. I can hear myself in the background, and it's not a pretty sound. All right, go ahead with your question, sir.
You know, over the last year, they've been very, very professional, and I just really appreciate it whenever I drive up to the gate.
The officer expects the best from his folks. All right. So.
You're doing a great job.
All right. Thanks, Skipper. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye now.
All right. Painting roadways and parking lots. Attention. We'll get there. That gate will only be open daily from 6 a.m. till 8:30. I am not manned to keep it open longer. I actually keep it open about an hour longer than I'm manned for by my manning model. But I think I want to get that main flow of the morning through the back gate, so that's why I think it's important to keep it open till 8:30. Random ID checks by my security folks. I have a awesome CID investigator who is doing plainclothes ID checks at the Mini Mart, liquor stores, and NEX. And I tell you what, we are finding people. We are finding people that are not authorized patrons of especially the Mini Mart, and we cite them for theft of government services. All right, it does happen. And it comes with a stiff penalty of, all right, so it does happen. Now, I will ask, if you're asked for your ID, we ask everybody. So if one of our CID investigators asks you for our ID, it's just because they're trying to patrol the patronage, all right? It's not because they suspect you, but as any good investigator, they ask everybody, all right? So, next question on the phone. Sir, I think you're hot, Mike. All right, Public Works, MEC. MEC is a challenge. Munitions of explosive concern. I know it creeps up from time to time, and this week happens to be a heavy MEC week that affects the heart of the community. Lockwood Chapel, the MWR facilities, BEQs. I know it's frustrating. We have the honor of having our installation on a World War II battlefield. All right, we find things. Yesterday we found a Japanese mortar round that we went ahead and disposed of properly with the help of the EOD team. Found some potential artifacts that are cultural artifacts. All those type of things. When we do excavation, we find those type of things. So especially the explosive concerning items, we want to make sure that you are outside the most extreme blast radius so you and your family are safe. So please work with us on MEC. We try to do it at times that affect the least amount of people. I know they affect a lot of people. Somebody's going to be affected. But we won't do it at night because we don't want to affect families and sailors in their barracks. So we tend to do it during the day. All right. MEC's a fact of life on Guam, and unfortunately, please work with us on it. Somebody asked a question about North Tipaleo housing demolition. South Tipaleo housing demolition. I'm sorry. North and South, confused. I'm just a helicopter pilot. We are installing a 7 megawatt solar array to help make the base more sustainable. That is a project that is a long-term in coming. It will probably come online in the next 2 years. That's part of CNIC's initiative to efficiently use all energy sources, and 7 megawatts will provide probably roughly about a quarter of what we need to run the main base here. So that's a big deal, and that's what's happening with those houses that we tear down at South Tipaleo. Unscheduled power outages and scheduled power outages. We try to make those as painless as possible, but the scheduled power outages can be painful. 10 hours is the maximum that we will do a scheduled via housing, public affairs office, Facebook, and also through building managers. That's how we get the word out. We get the word out early, so you for occupancy, or also if you are concerned about spoilage or something that's critical in your refrigerator. All the base housing has generator hookups, and generator hookup cables are available, including for the Lockwood housing, at the housing, what's that? At self-help office for housing, and that's over by the exchange. For unscheduled power outages, brownouts and blackouts through the Guam power grid. Sometimes they come at peak usage times in the summer. Sometimes they come from equipment out. Best, and Guam Power partners do their best to help us manage those and help us minimize those. A lot of times it has to do with flora and fauna, brown tree snakes going into transformers, or perhaps foliage being on power lines. If that's the case, each one of those lines that's in the affected sector has to be individually Guam Power folks to look for what is causing the short before they reactivate it. It's part of the fact of life of living on Guam, unfortunately, and we do our best to make it as robust as possible.
What's the status of old APRA housing?
Old APRA housing. APRA Palms?
Yes, the one that's completely shut down.
APRA Palms is not completely shut down. It's been temporarily divested from family housing to unaccompanied housing for rotational deployers. I currently have 74 units occupied by 216 Marines, sailors, and other active duty folks that are here for rotational duties. Those are our MARSOC operators, those are our SEAL Special Warfare operators, and any folks that come in here rotationally longer for like a 6-month period. I use NGIS, and that is run by NGIS, by the way, but it's not for the person here TAD for a week. Those are for long-term rotational deployers. I'm also going to bring the other 72 units online when I get the permissions from CNIC to fully bring those online and fund those to the level where I can use them as temporary housing for those rotational forces. So those are meeting a UH need because honestly, they were pretty old and pretty small room sizes for family housing. That's why we moved away from that model.
I was under the impression that those were going to be like the houses up on Madrid Circle.
No, ma'am. Those are not going to be like the houses up on Madrid Circle. Now, we are looking, I will say, we are looking at a possible model for some more houses, temporary houses, those NGIS houses that you're talking about up on Madrid. We're looking for some more options down in the immediate harbor view area adjacent to like the big screen theater in that area, close to walkable to center base. Now, I don't know if those are going to be NGIS or Navy Lodge. That's still kind of in work, but we are looking to bring some temporary housing that would be available for some TLA families that are waiting their PCS. Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, you bet. Tree trimming. Tree trimming is one of those things that falls in coal level 4, but somebody asked me about the trees on War Dog Hill, and if you drive by there today or tonight with your flashlight, I think you'll see that it's been taken care of. I had a motivated group of Navy Seabees and Navy divers who took care of that for you. So good on you for making the recommendation, and I didn't have the money to do it via contract, so I did it through some good old-fashioned volunteer sailor power. And let me tell you, they did a great job. We still have a little bit of cleanup to do tomorrow. I'll be out there at 6:30 with those Seabees and divers if you want to come help. All right, Dottie Beach. Dottie Beach Road is not critical infrastructure. I go down to Dottie Beach all the time. I enjoy it. My family enjoys it. I know there's potholes down there. We fill them up as often as we can, but once again, I use CB help for that. And they have a mission to do, so they do it when they can to help me out as an installation commander. But I kind of have to yield to their schedule. And so we'll get it filled when we can. But please be careful down there, drive slowly, and enjoy Dottie Beach. Great facility. NEX, ID card holders. So on Black Friday, we had 700 entrants in the first hour. There were only 22 Trusted Traveler non-ID holders to go through out of that 700. We check every ID of a purchase. Check it at the door, but we check it at the cash register. CONUS, they have done away with that policy. They don't even check ID anymore. At entry, I'm sorry, at entry. They check at the register. Okay? And I'd like to turn it over to my NEX director, Mr. Tom Goodman.
Good evening. There have been some questions about checking IDs, and the biggest question that I saw was that people wanted to know what the authorized patron list was. A lot of consumers, a lot of our patrons think that only active duty are allowed in the Navy Exchange. That's an untrue statement. So what we do have is we have Congress determines the authorized patron list for both the exchanges and commissaries. The Navy Exchange operates under what's called a 1330-21.
Okay, you can't hear us?
Can't
Okay,
hear
he's gonna speak a little louder for us.
I say that the Navy Exchange operates for an authorized patron list according to Congress. And Congress gives us an authorization bulletin that's called 1330-21, and it tells what the... Can't hear a word?
Come on down here, Tom.
All right.
We're gonna go ahead and have him relocate so he can speak a little louder.
The question is authorized patrons at the Navy Exchange. The approved authorized patron list is provided by Congress. Congress gives us an instruction called 1330-21, and it lists specifically authorized patrons, and it's not just active duty. And that's where the major concern is, or major question comes, why is it different at the exchange versus the commissary? Commissary is 100% appropriated funds. The Navy Exchange is non-appropriated funds. Congress has determined that there are authorized patrons that are not necessary, that specifically cannot shop into the commissary, but are allowed to shop in the Navy Exchange. That includes active duty retired dependents, all DOD on orders, all NATO, all overseas military, and the list is about 15 inches long when you look at the stack. So it's again -21 enclosure 6. DECA operates under 1330-17, two entirely different structures.
So there's a lot of different patrons that go to the NEX, and they are authorized patrons. We do check at the checkout. So, and I know Trusted Traveler is authorized there, and that's by my policy. People want to bring guests, and I know, I think that's a policy that we're going to continue. Hopefully that answers the question on Trusted Traveler and IDs at the exchange. Now, I will say we do random spot checks by security at entry through our RAM program, and that also continues at the mini marts as well. I'm going to go ahead and move on to bake sales. Hey, if FRG or a mess wants to do a bake sale at a commissary or at a NEX, all it has to be done is run through our JAG. And We do a lot of those, and they are all run through the JAG and then approved by me. But they're available, so if that's something, please let us know. Bring up Wendy's. Wendy's is a topic that we could talk about for hours. It's a slow process. I'm sorry. Last February, McDonald's closed down because the franchise owner wasn't making the profit that he needed to sustain the operation. We went out and solicited other operations, and we ended up on Wendy's. I think Wendy's is a good fit. It's taken longer than we had hoped to make the transition, and we're working through that transition process. Currently, they are shipping from their CONUS facilities the infrastructure that they need to make that a Wendy's. I have approved the plans, the internal and external plans for that Wendy's, and it will be online as quickly as we can. Slow process. I'm frustrated. I want my Wendy's burger too, but it will be here. I wish I had a date for you, but I don't. So please be patient with me. All right. School-related activities. I think there was one question about the traffic circle there, and that comes down to a little bit of force protection and uniform facility codes, and it also comes down to manning and being able to have a appropriate traffic monitor there. And I talked to the superintendent today. He does the manning that he can, and he does it at the peak times. And if there's a better way, I trust that his team would work it out. All right. If you have a concern about pre-K, now the pre-K program that they offer, we all wish it could be bigger, but it is available for a half day, and as opposed to some CONUS programs where pre-K isn't even available unless it's for at-risk youth. All right. We kind of fall in that netherworld between OCONUS and CONUS. I know there's some more pre-K available. It's because it's a true OCONUS base. All right. Somebody is hot mic there, unless you got a question. You got a question?
Is it me?
Yeah, I think it's you, sir.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No problem, no problem.
I'm sorry, Captain. I was just saying you guys are doing a great job, and I'm completely satisfied and happy with everything that's going on in this base.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just want to put out that it was not a paid political announcement, but hey, I will tell you, I think I have a great team here, and I'm going to brag on them just a little bit. They work hard every day. Make sure that we get you everything that we might all want. No, but hopefully they're doing it as best they can, and they do it with. That's my mission, is to support not only the fleet, but the warfighter, and then the family. And I know that's the CNIC mission, but that's my mission too. All right, so let us know when we're falling short on that.
That's not the current XO laughing, is it?
No, I don't think it is the current XO laughing, but it might be the old XO. He might be online.
Well, I'm obviously not going to release my name.
All right, sounds good. All right, hey, employment. Somebody brought that up. I know are limited. There's a couple different mechanisms through appropriated funds or also through non-appropriated funds, and you can reach out to the JRM HRO, Annie Sanchez, for appropriated funds, employment opportunities, and you can also work with the team over at Fleet and Family Services. I know that's not great answers, and there's probably not the jobs that you might be interested in, but maybe we can help you out. Maybe we can find you some jobs. Also, USA Jobs Online, or usajobs.gov, is available, and I know that process to get hired as a government employee can be onerous. Veterans, and it's part of the puzzle to complete my work for. Right, I need talent, I need expertise, and I need energy. If you have those things, apply for a job. All right, please. All right. Any last questions before I go to one last topic? What is the status of Top of the Mar? I'm going to put you over to the MWR team, and they're going to answer that question for you.
Sure. This is Sean Alley from MWR. Again, when you ask the status, I mean, we are currently open for, we do primarily catering, but it's primarily a catering facility, but we're still continuing to do, because there is a demand for it, we are going to do the Mongolian barbecues that we do down there twice a month. So nothing has changed on that. It was just temporarily suspended for the holidays because we had a bunch of holiday parties and stuff that we were catering for up there, but it's back on right now.
Did that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks for the question. I appreciate it. All right, I got a couple final questions.
Me, sir?
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry to interrupt. I apologize. I wanted to go back to, you were talking about spouse unemployment.
Yeah.
And it was actually me who posted that comment.
Great comment.
The problem that we're running into. Thank you. The problem that I think a lot of us as spouses are running into is when we're trying to look for jobs, that 2.5-hour time frame for the pre-K program isn't realistic. I can't find a place that's going to pay me to come into work for an hour and a half with allowing a half hour on each end for child transportation. So I don't know if there's a way to address that. I know there's transport for the kindergarten program to and from SAC. I know it's been discussed about pre-K, that the pre-K kids don't fall into that. There's no way to transport them. I don't know if that's something that could be looked at, because I know,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a nurse. I would love to be able to take a job.
Yeah.
But
No.
I don't have the ability to get my child to and from the CDC, and she has to go to pre-K at McCool because she had speech therapy there.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad that McCool's working for your daughter's requirements. That's great. And unfortunately, there is no transportation. Like you said, it's not funded for the pre-K programs to get them over to the Child Development Center. The only busing program we have is for the school-age children specifically. It's not available for the pre-K. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So then, on that note,
Yep.
for someone who chooses not to utilize pre-K because it is optional.
You bet.
When I know this is way far back in the conversation, you were talking about the CDC extended hours.
You bet.
The reason I didn't chime in right then was I wanted to pull up the email to double check that Miss Kimberly Balesta sent out, and it says for those extended hours that are meant to cover for the convenience for potentially someone who works shift work, like up at the Naval Hospital, they work 12. The fact that it isolates and says you cannot leave your child there for more than 12 hours, that is really hard to make work because there is no magical proof to get you from the Naval Hospital to the CDC to pick up your child at the very beginning of your.
You bet. You bet. A concern. I'm going to put you over to Chrissy, and she's going to answer that in a much better way than I can.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for that question, because I'm sure you're not the only one who has that concern. And there are exceptions to every policy should we follow proper procedures with that. So a command supported letter designating
Ma'am,
what.
your hot mic, can you mute your phone, please?
Thing that says you can't leave your kid at the CDC longer than 12 hours.
Okay,
Are you supposed to work as a nurse? You can't leave your kid there longer than 12 hours. You can't push a button and be there.
Ma'am, your hot mic. All right, go ahead, Chrissy.
There is ways that we can work around our policies. We do just need command support, so a document from your command stating your shift. There are some wiggle room within that. We are here to support the active duty members, the mission, and whatever we can do to support that mission, we're willing to accommodate.
So what if I am not the active duty service member? I'm the spouse, and say my active duty service member is deployed or underway or on duty, and I don't have an option because, say, I do work 12s. I don't have someone, my husband, for example, who can go get my kids from the CDC prior to those hours ending.
Yep,
I wouldn't have command sponsored. I wouldn't have a command support letter. Does that make sense?
Well, whoever your employer is.
I think she's looking for an employer letter.
An employer letter.
Okay. I was just not sure since you said command. I wanted to make sure that I got that clear. Great.
Yeah. So hopefully that's a solution that could work for you.
Yep. So we have had some back and forth about that. We have talked to there's a gentleman who covers the traffic circles, and he has come out and said that sometimes he'll open it for weather, sometimes he won't. It just depends. And I guess the clarity that a lot of us don't have is there is a car that parks in the traffic circle at all times. We've been told, and I know that person does have a special dispensation for a handicap.
Yes.
We're being told it's a security risk.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and let the superintendent address that question very quickly.
Okay, great.
Well, and what I would say about that is, it is a fire lane, it is that, and really, there's not supposed to be parking in there. They open that up for drop-offs first thing in the morning and pickups in the afternoon, and that's when it can be monitored. My guess is that Mr. Kirkwood is the person you're talking to, and when he's there, or the weather's bad, he'll probably come out and open that up if he's there, if he's available. But he's not there every day at that time to make that a consistent practice. I'll tell you that I will look at what we could do. I don't know off the top of my head to see if there's another solution for that. But I have a better choice for you.
That's okay. We appreciate you looking into it for us.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Hey, I'm gonna cover down on it.
How does one person ask a question? I'm sorry.
I tell you what, you are the lucky last question.
Oh, wonderful. I'm just gathering news from earlier that the Top Samar is resuming normal operations. Do we know if this will include the newest events of paint parties?
Yeah, we are planning.
Yes, we are planning paint parties.
Fantastic.
All right, there you go. All right, I tell you what, so we're I've kept my employees here all day. I appreciate the participation. Before I leave, though, I want to cover on a couple real quick things that I didn't hit on. Shuttle buses. Unfortunately, we are not funded in CONUS, which is in this case where we fall under, for shuttle buses. I know shuttle buses in Sasebo and Okinawa are there. Those are OCONUS options and available.
Hawaii.
What's that?
They have the next shuttle in Hawaii.
Yes, it's a next shuttle. It isn't a CNIC sponsored shuttle. We have that is a one-of program, ma'am, that is only operated in that area, and that is operated by the NEX. And I will tell you, the NEX, unfortunately, in the shuttle business enterprise-wide. We are trying to duplicate that model, but it's a struggle. I will tell you that. I'm sorry, ma'am? So, I will say that. So, shuttles brings up a great point. It breaks my heart when I see a sailor walking in the rain. I pick him up. All right? Well, like I said earlier, we are a community. We are a naval community. I charge each and every one of you to pick up a sailor. If you see a sailor walking in the rain, maybe see if you can pick them up and see where they're going. It's not a great answer. I just want to say it's what I do. And it's an option that's available. If you don't feel safe doing it, I understand that too. But we are a community here, and I hope that you feel safe with your neighbors. Next thing is bulk items in carts at commissary. All right, by the ID check, they are authorized patrons. I've seen it. You've seen it. I'm not going to deny it. Authorized patrons perhaps do, or I will say do, buy bulk items and occasionally clear out things. We do the best we can to manage that. As of right now, I'm not in the mindset that I am counting items. If I am driven in that direction, it's something that I will potentially consider. But I'll work with my DECA team to figure out if there's a way that I can still make sure that there's product available, but not be the shopping cart police. And I'm not saying that in jest. I know it's an issue. But everybody in there is an authorized patron. And a mechanism, one thing that we didn't address, if you do need someone to be a temporary patron of the NEX or the commissary because they are watching your child or a single and you have somebody here who is authorized to be here as a family house guest and they have a exchange or the commissary, we do offer agent letters. But you have to go through the housing review process. It is rightfully painful to do because we want to make sure that it is not abused. All right? So we make you fill out paperwork. It takes planning, but it's the right thing to do. It's policy. We do it quite often. All right? So if it works for you and it's something that fits your need, please let us know. We want to help, but help us follow the process. All right, the final thing that I want to discuss tonight before I sign off, and I know I'm a little bit over time, is the Navy's policy for transgender sailors. As we know, the Navy and the DoD, as of October of last year, said that transgender service members have a right to serve in the United States Armed Forces. We conducted training through November and December for the service members. All right. We have a due out by the end of January to make sure we hit the requisite number of service members with the Navy approved training module. Have to give, command triads give it. It's a very regimented introduction to the policy, and it's just that, an introduction to the policy. It doesn't have all the answers, and it doesn't address all the concerns. I know service members and family members have some concerns about how that may affect them in communal spaces, namely restrooms and MWR facilities. I understand that is a concern for your family. I would ask each and every one of you, whether you're active duty or not, to treat your neighbor, treat your shipmate, treat your fellow resident with courtesy, respect, and goodwill. All right? I ask you to be modest in your own comings and goings. I ask people to be discreet in their own comings and goings, whether you are male or female or transgender. And I ask you to follow Navy policy. All right? As the policy develops, we'll let you know. I am happy to answer questions about the Navy's transgender policy, but it's also incumbent for command triads to address those questions as well. So it's not just an installation issue, it's a thing that we must address and discuss for the entire naval community. Conversation, but is what I expect from our Navy sailors, our Navy civilians, and our Navy families. Any questions on that? I appreciate the opportunity to address you, and it's been interesting. It's been a learning experience for me. I have been on station for 6 months. It took me 6 months to get my feet underneath me and to get up on step. I appreciate the questions that you asked. I appreciate the passion that you bring those questions to us. And I appreciate you listening to our answers. We got a lot of good recommendations from you guys tonight. I got some homework to do. My staff has some homework to do. And I look forward to our next opportunity to meet, and whether it's virtually, and that will be in the summer months before school lets out. And we'll post that date to let you know when the next virtual town hall is. So have a good evening. We're here to support the fleet, the fighter, and the family, and have a great Navy Day. Naval Base Guam, out.